Welcome to the Geniuses of Copywriting podcast, a peek into the minds and strategies of the world's greatest copywriters, marketers, and persuasion experts. And now, here's your host, Brian Casangina.
Hey guys, welcome to the Geniuses of Copywriting podcast. It's time for another episode. I think today's going to be really fun because I've got a guy on the call who's a copywriter who I've been following online for a little while. And he's kicking some real ass. Joey Percia, is it Percia or Percia?
It's Percia.
Percia, yeah, sorry about that. How are you, man?
It's fine. I'm good, dude. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for coming on the call with me today because I know that I wanted to have a quick chat with you for some time and geek out about copy stuff. So I think we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, man. I've been looking forward to it. So can you start by telling the listeners a bit about yourself, how you sort of got started in copywriting?
Yeah. So I kind of fell into the whole copy and marketing world I was in the fitness business for a while. So I trained a person for years. And then I kept seeing my friends who were doing like online coaching and they were just traveling wherever they wanted. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that instead of being stuck in the gym all day. So I started building that business, my online coaching business, which was cool for a bit. But then when it actually started to grow and I found copy marketing and like I just realized that wasn't what I really wanted to do. And I was enjoying just like the marketing side of things so much more. And then organically, my friends just kept hiring me like to write their stuff. And it started as like a side hustle. And then I was like, this is more fun for me. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me too.
Yeah. You started in fitness too?
No, but something else. But it kind of started as a side hustle for me as well. Yeah.
What business were you in before?
Well, I was selling info products on eBay actually. And, I ended up finding it a lot more well-paying and easier to when people started getting me to write their marketing in their eBay ads.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I guess it happens like that pretty often.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of stuff are you working on these days then?
Yeah, these days I'm doing things a bit differently. So I'm kind of working on more partnerships with people as opposed to kind of freelance clients. So helping them sell more offers that they already had going on, whether they, proven offers that they had, whether they put them on the shelf and kind of went to something new or just helping them use assets they already have, right? And in most cases with the size clients and the businesses that they have, we do it on just a strictly a performance basis, as opposed to like, a big retainer or big upfront contract. And then, because sometimes stuff doesn't always pan out.
Yeah, that's for sure.
As best as we try.
Yeah, true. No one hits it out of the park every time. I mean, I remember sitting at a event in Australia years ago and I ended up sitting next to Ted Nicholas, the legendary copywriter, and he said to me, he like 7 out of 10 ads that he writes ends up flopping. So, and this was like one of the best of all time. Yeah,
it's crazy. So yeah, I still do some of the front end stuff when if the project's super exciting and all that. But yeah, try to work a little bit more on the back end and just help me kind of run promos like that.
Yeah, and is that like a lot more lucrative way of doing it? Because you mentioned that you're working in these partnerships as opposed to just being hired as a copywriter to do like this promotion for like say 10 grand or whatever. So that's kind of the thing we all start out doing. But now you're going down this path, so I'm really interested in find out how you work with that and how that works out better for you and for the client.
Yeah, so typically it's more, I would say it's more lucrative for both parties. Because both people are, or at least on my side, is just way more incentivized to just make it work and then keep making it work, right? Rather as get hired once up front. So like I've had some, you know, big upfront stuff, and that stuff's done well, but like where I'm at now, I really look for any sort of back end or ongoing thing that I can. So even if it's just like a big upfront stuff, if some people aren't open to like that ongoing thing, right? But it's at least there's some sort of, I try to do everything on some level on a performance basis at this point. Just because I know like, it's just like the way humans work. And it's just like, well, yeah, I'm gonna make this better.
True.
And if not, and that's what I like about that is it's very, it's super low risk for the partner or the client, right? Like they're not as worried about doing that. Like so many people, the industry is, it's so small, but it's funny how many people just like, how many times people get screwed over. By people who just like take huge upfront sums and then just don't deliver work or don't deliver it on time. Like it blows my mind that happens often. I
was just talking to my friend Rob Weiser about this tonight over a couple of beers, you know, about a friend of ours who's had a bit of a reputation for not delivering. So, and once you have that reputation, you know, people talk like we were tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I guess that's just the way people do things sometimes.
That's certainly true. And so it's really interesting to me because like when, you know, not everyone's had the same start that I have, but I'm just thinking back to listen to the old Dan Kennedy tapes and DVDs and Jeff Ball and all those guys who one of their the most unbreakable rules that you have when you know, doing a service like this is you always get a whole bunch of money up front from the client as much as you possibly can. And, you know, it's almost as if the service you provide from that is almost like secondary, which obviously that's not a way to build a sustainable business, but it's always been about the upfront money. So what you're doing is a bit of a departure from that. So how do you make sure that you're working with the right people who do the right thing?
Yeah. So I mean, that's a big part of it too. Like it has to be with, in order to do that, we'll look for businesses at certain levels and like they have, you know, certain size customer prospect databases, or a good reputation to them. So like all that stuff has to be pretty much in order for us to do that. But, cause there's a lot of times where like, it doesn't necessarily make sense to do it for everyone. Cause you know, time is energy and money and all that stuff. So I still do some of the in the case where it might not be, they might have great assets. There'll be, you know, an upfront thing and then just a smaller piece on the back end, right? So as opposed to just like a small or nothing upfront, maybe usually we just do a little bit of a deposit, just like, so like, all right, we're both serious. And then like, get your money back. But, and it's kind of different too. It's not like we're gonna put together like if you get hired to write, you know, $10, $15, $20,000 package and it's just this huge launch or whatever, we're not doing that out of the gate. It's like, we're going to try this one little thing first and see how things respond. So we don't waste, you know, a month or 2 months of work and then just be like, wow, that sucked. So like, let's just like test stuff at like, you know, let's send a couple emails or see how they respond, or let's send a survey, see what happens, or let's do this little thing and see what's up. And then we know if it like, oh, maybe that probably won't work in this case. And like, let's bow out, or like, oh, that was awesome. Let's dive in and let's do it like that. So yeah, it's a little bit different there, but
like you're not beating a dead horse.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound like much fun for a copywriter to be stuck in a project like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not like we won't jump in and just be like, hey, let's just do this for, you know, let's sign something for like years.
Yeah.
Like, let's just try this one thing and see what happens. Like, if it works, awesome. If not, cool. But again, the same thing. It's not like huge upfront risk for them to be dropping a ton of money to do it. So yeah, I know that, and it's funny, like, I think if it's just copy, then it makes sense to do like the upfront stuff and just like big upfront fees and stuff like that. I think if you're doing a bit more of like doing the offer stuff, positioning, kind of managing stuff, then it kind of opens the door to do the more performance style stuff. But I know Dan and huge upfront. Yeah, but I mean, if you think as far as, I would say back at that time, if you think like Dan versus Jay Abraham, like Jay does more like most of his stuff was performance based, but he still had big upfront stuff too. But most of his deals that he did in partnerships that was performance based. So they're both like, I would compare them like equally, not or neck and neck. So. I
think sometimes some of these gurus that we listen to probably do like a bit more of this stuff than they want to let on. They say, I get to like $100 grand up front or whatever for every single project, even writing one email. But I think they do a lot more deals than they probably let on.
Yeah, I think there's got all sorts of stuff happening.
Yeah, they probably get a lot more deal flow coming across their desk too, because they're so well known and they can pick and choose. And that brings me to lead gen. Is it for you filling the pipeline? Is that is it a similar sort of process to find these types of clients as anyone else? Is there any difference, or is it the same thing?
I would say it's been pretty much the same thing. Like for me and growing, at least when I was just my freelancing career, growing that was pretty much like between word of mouth, and just like having a presence in the universe, right? Posting online or doing some sort of stuff on a weekly, daily basis, whatever that was, just to like have a presence, and then just my name to come up, and then people referring. But I think my transition was a bit different, since like I knew a decent amount of people in the health and fitness space already. So when I started doing that, it was like I wasn't coming into like with no network of anyone, right? Like I already trained for a bit. I knew a bunch of people. And then it was like, oh, I know Joey. He's a good dude. Like, you should just hire him. So that kind of happened. It just happened. But yeah, I would say the process is pretty much the same. And like, so I've only been doing kind of the partnership style stuff for the past few months. So I still take saying if the what the partner has, if their kind of setup isn't ideal for that, I still do some of the bigger projects if it makes sense.
Yeah. Is this the same thing as revenue share deals, which I've heard a lot about lately?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of the cool thing with marketing consultants, where instead of charging those upfront fees, they're talking about rev share deals, and they get a percentage sometimes of the business itself, shares and stuff. So these kind of deals, can really, if you jump on the right ones, they can really give you a lot of good income and wealth after the fact of doing the actual work.
Yeah. That's kind of how I look at it. Is more of like a solid long-term play. Yeah. And like if I end up working with the right partner on something, and it's just like an ongoing thing, I get to do the part that I enjoy, which is the marketing and like getting people into stuff, and not creating the products, because I never enjoyed that, and not like not doing that type of stuff, which I didn't like. So I handle the stuff typically that they don't like to handle, and then they handle stuff that they like to handle. So it just makes sense.
And that's an appealing thing for a prospect as well, to take stuff off their plate that they don't like doing. Like you mentioned before, you know, you were managing some of the parts of the business and taking on other tasks that you know, if you're just writing a Google Doc of copy, you know, it's a lot bigger scope than that. So that's one of the big selling points of framing an offer to a prospect in this way.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. That's like that's a big part of it. It's just like it's a way better offer to the client, right? Like it's not like there's way less risk on their part, right? It's not that big upfront stuff with no guarantee of what's going to happen. I know, and some copywriters give guarantees and stuff, but most of the time it's like, my guarantee is like to work with you until it works. It's still like, what does work mean? Just like break even. So yeah, with this, they're like, oh yeah, like I don't have any risk and you're going to do everything. All right. So yeah, it's just, to them, it's a better offer.
And the lower risk you can make it, the more you can do for them. You know, because when I've taken on some retainer clients the last couple of years, you know, sometimes I'm just writing copy, but often, well, not often, but some of the clients, you know, want you to like work a lot more closely with the team, maybe even send out the emails yourself. So it really depends on the client and their expectations. So it's like, you know, if like I remember I took on one client where I was a little bit more hands-on in some of the work in Infusionsoft they're using, and the deal was that I was going to do that until they could find somebody to take on those duties. So that was one of the factors in winning that deal, you know, because I was able to use that because I find Confusionsoft pretty easy to use for some reason. Although maybe I'm just not trying hard enough. But yeah, that was one of the parts of that deal. So sometimes, you know, I think when you can take something off a client's plate the way you're doing that really helps.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, but other than that, you know, everything's the same with your process of writing copy and you know, delivering the deliverables and all that stuff. So, I mean, when you're more hands-on involved in actually putting together these campaigns, do you work pretty closely with the team of the client as well? Go to meetings and make sure that that your copy is getting implemented the way you want it?
Yeah. So, I mean, in most of these situations, we try to like handle, like saying, as much as we can. So we'll actually implement the stuff. Yeah. So like I said, since it's kind of, a lot of it's email based, right? Email or like social based. So we're able to just actually like log in there and send the stuff and make sure we know it's getting sent and all that stuff. Cause it's not like we're building these 10-step funnels that are like beautifully designed and all that stuff. Cause that's more on like the front end. So we're kind of moving more to stuff they already have, whether it's, you know, their Facebook groups or email lists. So yeah, like that stuff's easy for us to implement. And what we try to do is basically make it like, so it's completely new paycheck for them, right? We're not going to, if they're crushing it on email, we're not going to come in and be like, let's take over your email. And we want a big piece of this. Like, now we're like, all right, you're doing that over there, the email. Maybe there's a segment that you're like not really mailing to, or maybe you have a group that you're not really monetizing, like a Facebook group you're not really monetizing. So like, let's try something on there. So try to make it So it's like completely new, right? So it's not taking anything out of what's going into their pocket already. If anything, it's adding, and then we just take a piece of that new addition.
Yeah. That's really interesting too, because like a lot of newbie copywriters try and come in and probably fix something that's already that ain't broke, you know. They see someone doing email marketing well, and it's like you put it well yourself. They want a piece of that action, and they want to sort of dive into something that's already working, because that's an easier step than actually creating a new revenue stream for that client themselves from scratch.
Yeah, and I think there's a time and place for that too. Like, you know, some people who have funnels and they're converting to cold traffic and stuff, but if they're willing, if they're running a lot of traffic, they're willing to pay people a lot of money if they can beat that control, because then that means like tons of money to them. So that there's definitely a time and place for like that front end stuff. I feel like there's less and less opportunities for that, because I feel like, one, that's where everyone is going. And then two, it's because it's just because it's like, that's what everyone looks at as like where their money comes in, right? It's like the front end stuff. And there's typically just so much more opportunity to get someone to buy more often, or, you know, increase package size in the back end, or just bring something out that they haven't done anything with in a while. So it's just like, it's keep fighting over that front stuff, and I'll just like swoop in back here.
Yeah. So do you have like one area where you see massive opportunities for someone to come in, like in general in most businesses? Like for me, I see a lot of opportunity in email marketing for a lot of businesses not getting that right. Where's the biggest opportunity for someone to come in and start doing this for clients?
I would say I agree with email too. I say email, and then if we're going even deeper, I'd say email to customer databases. A lot of people, again, they just focus on the prospects to get them in for the first place, and then
and once they got that sale,
and then just opportunities of like. I'm just a big fan of email too, because like if someone's a buyer too, then there's also just other things you can offer them that aren't even necessarily in your product suite or offer suite that like they still want, right? So just looking at like, oh, someone bought this like fat loss thing, like they're probably interested in other health things or health related things. And, you know, setting up deals that way where you're either creating packages or adding new things and that type of stuff. I think email is probably one of the biggest ways, especially now with it being like, one, people saying it's dying. So like, that's awesome because people are mailing less. And then,
exactly right.
And then just deliverability, which is becoming harder. And then, you know, people, if they don't know what they're doing at all, then it's like, oh, my open rates are like 5% from whatever. And they're like, oh, it's dead. And if you can get that up, then that's, you know, that can boost revenue right back up.
I just wrote a book about that, and it's like that's one of the other big opportunities. Like you say, people who have an email list that is not working for them. So I'm with you on that one for sure. And I've done that a few times through a few clients, and it's a tricky thing sometimes, but especially if they've been that marketer who's sent out 14 affiliate offers every week and burned out their list. But I suppose I probably wouldn't really take on that client with a partnership. Probably want to give me a chunk of cash up front, even if I was thinking so exactly. More of a risky one. Or on a hiding to nothing, as they say. So is there any other opportunities that you see on a strategic level, like in the next few years? Like if I had and many other copywriters are the same. Probably, you know, we'd come across a way to work like this, 3 or 4 years ago, things would have got different today. So it's good to get ahead of the curve. Is there anything that you can see on the horizon that might be coming up?
I think that, which I haven't done enough of it to say yet, but I think that direct mail is going to come back.
Yeah.
Or stronger. I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity there.
Yeah.
Because getting something physical is just, I mean, it's always been like different, and it's always been strong, and just like the feeling of someone actually holding something in hand, but even more that everything's becoming digital and more and more and more. And I think less people are sending direct mail stuff. So you're not getting as much junk. And then if you're getting actual letters that are kind of, more like personal letters, like how we would write emails, right? It's just like, holy shit, what is this? So I think that's gonna come back strong, and that's what I'm looking to move into with some of the partners that I'm working with, and like we end up finding campaigns and their offers that do well, and we'll try to move that into direct mail. So, but yeah, I haven't done that yet. I know people who are doing it, and they're doing amazing with it. So that's something that I'd like to start testing out with when we have systems out with those partners.
So it's a good point, and I agree with you, and it's something that I'll look at as well. I mean, describe an American mailbox to me, because I've lived in Asia for 4 years, and whatever direct mail we get here is not in English. And when I was back in Australia, basically we used to get supermarket catalogs, a couple of real estate flyers, but nothing that would ever suggest that anybody there knows anything about direct mail. So what is it like over there?
I think it's very similar to that. It's lots of kind of grocery store coupon things. Seasonal, we'll get like we just got lawn care stuff, and I think that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's just like stuff from credit cards. It's, I have Chase accounts, and I just keep I get like at least 3 offers to get new Chase cards, at least 3 to 5. And some of the cards I already have, and they're trying to get another one. But yeah, it's pretty much just like I would say like that's the majority of it. And then I'll get some direct mail from some very few of the people that I've gone through like free plus shipping offers. Which is why
you should do a free plus shipping offer, because you get the goddamn mailing address. The other thing I just remembered was not long before I left Australia, I got an envelope in my mailbox, and I picked it up and looked at it, and I thought that a kid had written a note on it, and I'm looking around, where's this kid? It's a plain envelope, and it said, dear house, I can't remember what it addressed me as, but it said, my mum is really struggling, and I'm looking for any part-time work and that sort of thing. Like it's written like a messy writing, like a 9-year-old kid or something. And I thought, somebody's written on this envelope and put it in my mailbox, looking for some work, some yard work or something. But it was I opened it up, and it was a direct mailer from the Red Cross.
Oh wow!
So charities actually do know how to do some of this direct mail. It had me, and I've been in marketing for well over 10 years at that point. I've been a big fan of direct mail, and it had me convinced that somebody had actually. But it's probably in every mailbox on the street in the suburbs. So I've got the swipe at home, and it's an amazing piece of work. But that's
great.
Yeah, that would have generated a lot of money for them, because you would get a lot of opens with that.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, actually, that reminded me. I've we get a bit from the cars that we have. So like my wife's car and my car, we'll get them trying to upgrade our cars, and some of them have been pretty creative, but other ones are just like I don't know how they do. But we'll get some of that stuff, like, oh, trade in this, or oh, we're gonna give you this this much cash and this much above, or whatever.
Yeah.
Other
But
than that,
yeah.
legit.
But do you see like, I mean, can you get like, I mean, if you could get a list of buyers and customers, I mean, you mentioned that one of the big opportunities for copywriting was for customer lists, not just of the whole prospects and customers and everyone, but people who have bought and recently. And back then, I just thought you were talking about email, which you were, but are you also talking about the direct mail?
Yeah. I would say both, right? Like if something works in email, there's a way better chance for it to be working in direct mail. And email is a cheap test. Like we don't have to test direct mail like they used to have to test direct mail when they couldn't test online. Like
yeah, I've heard that people like Frank Kern, digital marketer, and do use some direct mail. I don't think I've ever got any, probably just in the US, but smart people do.
Yeah, I've gotten a direct mail piece from digital marketer before traffic and conversions. I think 2 years ago. I don't think I got anything this year, but yeah, I remember I got a piece from them.
Yeah, it's probably worth me opening up a virtual mailbox over there just to just to get mail. Get on there, get on the customer list. I'm a TNC attendee, so I should be able to get something.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's really cool, man. I wasn't quite sure about it, but I think, because one of the reasons why I stopped direct mail, the tinkering that I did in the past when I was back home, is because it's so much cheaper to do everything online, which is the same story with everyone. Nobody wants to pay for a stamp. I mean, to mail a letter in Australia now, if you're using a real stamp and handwriting the envelope, assuming you don't outsource the handwriting of the envelopes, which you should, it's costing up to like $2 a letter or more to actually send a letter to somebody in Australia. It's getting relatively expensive anyway than it used to be.
Yeah, but I think if it's to like $2 to customer lists, like is way different than $2 to like prospect, right? Like in that case, it might be way more worth it to actually do that as opposed to just like being another ad online.
Sure. Right. And I mean, as I say that, am I worried about the wrong thing? Am I overly concerned with the cost of that mailing? Where if I'm mailing the right offer to these customers, it doesn't matter how much it costs, it'll still convert. It'll be worth a lot more in the long run. Yeah,
and that's the thing. And like I said, I haven't done a bunch of it to be like, this is what you do. But that's exactly the thought, right? And I think less and less, since less and less people are doing it because of that, they're like, I can just do it online. I think going into like, I can test it online and then do this if it works, because then then I think there's just going to be a lot more opportunity to that, especially since people just look at that as like, again, we said email, like people think email is dead, and then like they think direct mail is even like that's buried way deeper. So
they're all doing they can do email for less than $100 a month for the autoresponder. So for like zillions of emails. So that's why direct mail is neglected.
Yeah.
So
it's riskier, like you were saying.
But yes, it's like I tell clients not to worry about cost per lead when they're generating leads, as long as those leads are converted. If you pay $10 a lead, what's the matter if that lead on average is worth 20? So and I've always had like good results in it. I remember selling after I got good at selling stuff on eBay. I made a marketing course based around that, and I used to sell that by mail order. And the price point that I settled on after a while was actually $597. And I wrote a sales letter that's converting on the front end like 10%. So, which is crazy. And obviously it was a lot more expensive to do those mailings. But for a while there, I paid the bills with that little business. And I didn't, it's funny because it's an online marketing course, which I was selling completely offline. I didn't really have a website for it, but nothing until later. Yeah, so it's awesome. So, what about Joey Percia? How can people find out more about you after they've listened to this?
Yeah, I am somewhat active on Facebook as far as social media platforms are concerned. It's just my name, and then I also have a website too. That, again, that thing hasn't been updated for a long time, but it's joeypercia.com. Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, yeah, because I've really encouraged people to go to joeypercia.com if you're listening on iTunes. If you're on the website, I'll chuck a link up on this episode on the Geniuses of Copywriting.com website on your page there. But if you're listening on iTunes, go to joeypercia.com. I know he's got some cool stuff there. It hasn't been updated, but then the GaryHalbertletter.com hasn't been updated in about 100 years. So,
I wouldn't say the two are equal, but
yeah, but it's a fair comparison because that looks like it was designed in about 1996, which it probably was. But the information is still valuable there, and same with on your website as well. So you've got your book and some other stuff on there. So I highly recommend that everyone listen to this. Devour everything you can on that website. Get the book and everything like that. So it's definitely well worth it. And they can add you on Facebook as well. Do you have a Facebook group or just your profile?
I will in a bit. I'm in the process of doing that. So
people just add you on your profile, and then you'll no doubt plug your group now and then and stuff like that. So awesome. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Let me know when we launch that too. So I'll check it out. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been good fun. Finally catch up and put a face to the name. So good to connect on here. Thanks for all the real cool value that you've offered on the call today. It's been really interesting and I think insightful for a lot of the people who I know are listening to this podcast. So guys, go to joeypercia.com. Check everything out there. Grab his book and add him on Facebook, and you'll get a lot of value out of it. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for that. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Geniuses of Copywriting with Brian Casangina. To get the full transcript and all the resources mentioned on today's show, go to www.geniusesofcopywriting.com now.